The era of the sequel, reboot, and remake is here. Regardless of whether the original requires it or not, the film business has this bothersome habit of wanting to serialize everything. Even more annoyingly, trailers with big names returning their roles and bogus claims of nostalgia being satisfied always manage to sway audiences. Here are the top 10 movies that didn't need a sequel. Number 10. Jaws. Another deluxe-sized great white visiting the New England town of Amity was absurd enough, but what came next makes Jaws 2 seem incredibly plausible. While Jaws 3D appeared to be the gimmicky franchise's final gasp, the filmmakers went completely off the deep end with Jaws: The Revenges. Each film contributed to the pervasive misconception that great whites are monsters, and as a result, they have been hunted to the point of almost extinction with minimal public outcry. Number 9. The Exorcist. The movie that gave rise to a well-known Richard Pryor comedy routine ought to have made money with its first release. Although John Boorman's Exorcist II: The Heretic is an intriguingly bizarre and graphically ambitious attempt at a metaphysical thriller, the movie he tried to make conflicted with the leftover aspects from William Friedkin's successful adaptation of William Peter Blatty's book. The Exorcist III is a very fine sequel to Blatty's loosely related Exorcist spin-off novel Legion, but it would have been a classic without the clumsily added demon-expelling ritual. Rennie Harlan Rezhat and trashed Paul Schrader's intellectual, well-intentioned Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist for Exorcist: The Beginning. Both are not worthwhile. Number 8. Arthur. The fourth highest grossing film of 1981, Arthur by Steve Gordon, may have been the final one where you could get away with acting like a joyful drunk. When Warner Brothers finally decided to adapt the Dudley Moore success into a sequel, the public's appetite for more drunken mischief had been quenched by growing awareness of the psychological and physical harm caused by alcoholism. Despite its poor timing, the sequel was still completely terrible. The Russell Brand-led 2011 version was as popular as a sun-baked Schlitz. Number 7. Love Story. The Titanic of its time, Arthur Hiller's adaptation of Eric Siegel's love story was a blatant weeper supported by two incredibly endearing characters and a spectacular orchestral composition that went straight for the heart. People waited in line to watch sad Oliver repeatedly lose Jenny, the love of his young life. A catastrophe that had been perfectly preserved in amber. Siegel, though, couldn't leave the grieving alone. The subtitle of the movie adaptation of his sequel, Oliver's Story, sums up its stupidity: it takes someone very special to let you forget someone extremely wonderful. Because of the suggested deletion of Jenny, Love Story fans felt betrayed and shied away. Number 6. Die Hard. The issue is not that Die Hard started a franchise, rather, it started the incorrect franchise. Bruce Willis's everyman charm as John McClane, who utilizes his street cop skills to thwart Hans Gruber's highly armed thieves, should have been given more emphasis in John McTiernan's 1988 action masterpiece, which was based on Roderick Thorpe's novel Nothing Lasts Forever. Instead, the creators made the character a human cockroach that miraculously outlives his opponents. The episode of Die Hard with a Vengeance comes the closest to recapture the excitement of seeing McClane think. But by the second act, he was being blown through a manhole while perched atop a water geyser like a cartoon figure from Looney Tunes. Number 5. The Terminator. In a perfect world, James Cameron's The Abyss would have been a huge success at the box office in 1989, eliminating the need for him to mess with the neat timeline of his emotionally stirring sci-fi masterpiece, The Terminator. The right move was to return with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton and apply his conceptual/technical genius to a sequel that was as viscerally thrilling as it was chronologically absurd. Unfortunately, Cameron's grandiose underwater adventure identified him as a budget-flouting control freak. After that, Cameron sensibly shelved the subject, leaving later directors to invent completely absurd justifications for Skynet to keep sending Terminators into the present. The upcoming Terminator, Dark Fate features Cameron's direct involvement and the fortunate fortune of coming after Terminator Genesis, the lowest point in the franchise. Number 4. Anchorman. With this brilliantly imagined parody on network affiliate news and the general tackiness of the 1970s, the Adam McKay/Will Ferrell comedy machine produced its first mainstream absurdist joy. It was an oddly brilliant piece produced by a creative team that was happy to be liberated from the restrictions of SNL. There was reason to believe that these people and this setting were, unlike most comedies, good ground for a revisit given that they had amassed enough footage to produce a second feature on DVD. That idea was skillfully destroyed by the annoyingly haphazard Anchorman 2, the legend continues. Number 3. First Blood. The 1982 release of Ted Kotcheff's First Blood did not feel like the start of a Sylvester Stallone series. It was a rousing, a little somber take on the exploitative, don't mess with Vietnam vets genre that had become popular over time. However, the sardonic John Rambo wasn't exactly cute or cool, like Rocky Balboa. Rambo appeared as a one-man personification of fresh military strength as Americans recovered from the Vietnam War, and his first objective was to bloodily relitigate the battle. Number 2. Home Alone. One of the most unexpected box office successes of all time continues to be this entertaining fantasy about a little child whose parents leave him home alone during the holidays. On its first weekend in November 1990, it dominated the box office, and it retained that position until February 1991. The third highest grossing movie of all time by the time it left theaters. Its production company, 20th Century Fox, was required to release a sequel, and the terrible Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, is dripping with duty. There were 3 more sequels, the final 2 of which were terrible television productions. Number 1. Speed. Even with a thankfully straightforward hook, a lot of things had to go right for Speed to become a critical and financial success. Therefore, before selecting the upcoming script doctor, 20th Century Fox went through several. Joss Whedon avoided a major disaster when Stephen Baldwin declined the lead part and was able to restructure the story and improve the dialogue written by the original author Graham Yost. By choosing Sandra Bullock, who was somewhat unknown at the time, to play Annie, the co-lead, it struck gold. The choice to have an out-of-control cruise ship on open sea excite viewers like a speeding bus on a congested Los Angeles road was just the beginning of everything that went right on Speed going horrifically wrong on Speed 2, Cruise Control. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.